Folks, welcome into That Betting Show for May 8th, 2019, your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs. He's Teddy Safransky. Give him a follow on Twitter at Teddy_covers. I'm Donnie Seymour at Rightside VP. Let's get right into it, Teddy. Look, if we were holding tickets yesterday for the favorites in both of these games, what an easy non-sweat. But if you had those underdogs yesterday, they certainly didn't come in and bite. And if we take a look tonight, Teddy, before we get there in our doubleheader with the Rockets and the Warriors, let's take a look at last night. What? Raptors by 36, Nuggets by 26. We're talking about series here, Teddy, that were 2-2, pivotal game fives. So what had happened?
In both games, what happened was the favorite played their best game of the series, and the dog played their worst game of the series, and that's what happened. Philly-Toronto last night, it was a one-point game early in the second quarter, and then you blink, and the Sixers are up 21, or the Sixers are down 21 at halftime. It was a monster Raptors run, and Philly made a little charge coming out in the third quarter, cut the lead, I think, to 13 or so, and it was 30 by the end of the quarter. Toronto played great. They played like a championship caliber team last night. They hadn't been the whole series, but last night they did in Philly. It was just a no-show. It really was. Jimmy Butler calling out the team after the game, and all of a sudden the Sixers could go on vacation if they don't win on Thursday night. As for the other game, it was a very similar. Look, the Blazers aren't going to win a whole lot of games on the road in the postseason when they're minus 18 on the boards and they only force 6 turnovers like they did last night. The defensive effort wasn't there. The effort on the glass wasn't there. Portland's, they're an okay team. They're a good team. They're not a great team. And the Nuggets played great last night. Certainly one-sided results and no sweating the fourth quarter of either one of these matchups, at least if you had a side wager.
You know what's interesting in this too, Ted, is when you take a look at the NBA, specifically that Sixers-Raptors game. It was a blowout from jump. Looks like the Sixers were disinterested, and you almost saw it coming when Joel Embiid is walking into the locker room like somebody stole his lunch money. But looking at this from a gambling perspective, when Joel Embiid is healthy, engaged, and ready to go, the Sixers obviously are a completely different team. Reading the tea leaves, Teddy, coming into yesterday, we were led to believe that Joel Embiid was, hey, look, respiratory infection, got his meds in, he's good to go. We're going to ride with him in Game 5. And he was awful again, and then you hear out of the locker room, hey, Joel Embiid was really sick. You should have saw his temperature. He could barely get out of bed. Getting this information and not having this information sometimes is key, but moving forward in the series, Ted, to Game 6, which will head back to Philadelphia, where they're going to try to stave off elimination, how do you approach this Joel Embiid situation where it seems like every single game is like a circus around this guy?
It's hard, and frankly, I don't know what I'm going to do, if anything, in Game 6. There's certainly a case to be made that what we saw last night from Toronto is the real Raptors, and what we saw last night from Philadelphia was the real Sixers. There's also a case to be made that when you look at Philly star power, they're good enough to win Game 6 and go on the road and win Game 7 against a Raptors team that we don't necessarily trust in the biggest game. So it's not an easy handicap. And to look at the info that we got yesterday from Embiid, which is like, okay, Embiid's ready to dominate, and then he wasn't, makes me a little bit reluctant to look at Philadelphia in Game 6 because we don't know what Embiid we're getting. And, last night I thought I was getting the good Embiid. I had a big bet on Philadelphia. I was pretty wrong. I was really wrong. The client's not happy with that one.
Hey, it is what it is, Teddy. We live to fight another day. More games on the docket, more money to be made. But how about last night? Maybe a little bit of throwback in Major League Baseball, Teddy. Fires with another no-hitter under his belt. 131 pitches, which today is blasphemy. It's insanity. Why would you do that to your pitcher? His arm is probably going to fall off in the next game. But a wonderful performance last night, which was captivating. I believe in the 6th inning, Teddy, with back-to-back unbelievable plays, won a stealing of a home run from Joey Votto. Nice work by Fire.
Yeah, and a flat-out theft on that one. And when we talk about the pitchers, this is Fire's second no-hitter. We talk about the pitchers that have current active pitchers that have accomplished this. It's the most random list you've ever seen. Yeah, you got the aces. Justin Verlander's got a pair. Max Scherzer's got a pair. Jake Arrieta, he's pretty good. He's got a pair. All right. And then you see Homer Bailey and Fire's on that list. You're like, what? Multiple no-hitters. The guy came into the game with a 6.81 ERA. He threw 131 pitches. It's worth noting that the game was delayed, almost 2 hours because there was a bank of lights out. They decided to play with the bank of lights out in the left field stand. Some of them popped on, but the bottom line is a little bit more difficult than the average night to see the ball, to hit the ball that probably affected the no-hitter in a very positive manner for Oakland.
Yeah, it's interesting about that, too, with the light bank being out. Maybe they're going to have pitchers, sort of sabotage, one would say, in that old Oakland Alameda County Jesus, Teddy, get this out for me. County Coliseum there, which, we can knock those lights bank out. Maybe you get a little bit of a different approach from the pitchers. But Fires, you brought up a good point there, Teddy. And it's the fun of, or maybe it's torturous, of betting Major League Baseball, because you look at the ERA, almost close to 7, and the kid fires a no-hitter. It's amazing, isn't it?
That's why they call him Fires. That's why his name.
Look at that. Did I tee that one up for you? Was that pretty good?
Sure. And of course, Oakland County Coliseum is the worst facility. Well, that and the Trop in Tampa are the two worst facilities in baseball. At least the sewage wasn't backed up in the visitors' locker room last night.
Yeah, a lot to go over in that, Teddy. NFL season, as always, right here on That Betting Show. We do preview a new NFL team each and every day. We're going to hit those San Francisco 49ers back to the Bay Area, Teddy. 2019, looking forward, 33-1 to win the championship, 16-1, Teddy, to win the NFC West, and the team total is 7.5 at multiple outlets out there. 49ers plagued by injury in 2018, still fought, even though they went 4-12, Teddy, losing their quarterback, losing a lot of skill position guys. I thought Kyle Shanahan did a pretty good job of holding it together, but looking forward here, spent a first round draft pick, the number 2 overall, on Nick Bosa to help out that pass rush. Also getting Deebo Samuel in the second round, loading up with a pass rush here in the offseason, also with D Ford. Look, I'm a buyer moving forward. I don't know if it's their year, so to speak, to win that division, but things are looking up to me for San Francisco, Teddy.
I'm going to say this right from the get-go. San Fran is going to be a hot team in the betting markets. The wise guys are hot on this team. The public doesn't mind Garoppolo and company. You could see San Fran being this year's Cleveland Browns as a team coming out of nowhere, attracting a bunch, of betting attention, getting wise guy support, getting public support. The sportsbooks are going to be rooting against the 49ers on a pretty consistent basis this coming season. You can feel that already. And when you feel that in May, the bandwagon's picking up here in Vegas. I haven't seen another team like San Fran yet that's attracted this level of support. We're already seeing the future money coming on the 49ers. We're already seeing the money coming on the 49ers on a game-by-game basis. That's wise guy money. Pay attention. Now, why do the wise guys like San Fran so much? First, look at their statistical profile last year. They were plus 0.4 yards per play. Teams that do that are supposed to finish above 500. San Fran, as you mentioned, was 4-12. They were plus 0.4 yards per rush. They outrushed their opponents. QB rating, well, here's where the issues were. Okay, on offense, obviously, when you're going with Nick Mullins and C.J. Beathard for most of the season, 87.8 QB rating, not bad. Defense, they allowed 105.4 to opposing quarterbacks. Only Tampa was worse. And when it comes to turnover differential, why was San Fran so god-awful last year? Real simple. Minus 25 in turnovers, dead last in the NFL by far. Only 7 takeaways. That's an NFL record. Only 2 interceptions all season. That's an NFL record. And you throw in 32 giveaways, which was the second highest, it ends up with a team that when you lose a turnover battle every game, you don't win a lot of games. And the fact they covered as many point spreads as they did speaks volumes about Shanahan and company. You talked about the pass rush. They're expecting this pass rush to be a whole lot better. They added some good skill position talent. Remember, last year, their leading rusher and leading receiver undrafted free agents. You bring in Tevin Coleman, you bring in Jordan Matthews, you guys that can play. The defense, we talked about the pass rush. I like the addition of Jason Verrett in the secondary, certainly, and a bunch of playmakers. Talk about Deebo Samuel with the number 2 pick, Jalen Hurd, the number 3 pick. These are 2 guys who could have an instant impact for Garoppolo right away. I'm bullish on the 49ers. If you like them over their win total, I bet it's sooner rather than later.
Yeah, usually in the NFL, Ted, you want that bye week to be a little bit later in the season. Theirs comes early, but actually comes at a decent time when you look at the schedule, opening the season with their first 4 games. Out of the first 6 games, 4 of them will be on the road. We'll keep an eye on those 49ers coming up in the next couple months, Teddy, but it's time. Look at some overnight line movers, SPRodds.com, the best place on the internet to check those line movements that are going 365, 24/7. Let's take a look at the first one. Sailbackers, Teddy. Everybody jump back aboard after a dominant outing. The road favorite here approaching a minus 300. If we take a look right now at SPRodds.com at the time of taping, Chris Sale minus 281, minus 280, minus 275 across the board. So a heavy favorite, total of 8.5 tonight. Sale versus Cashner in the tilt.
Yeah, and Sale took a bunch of money in his last start as well. The market's wise guy market's very high on him right now after that rough start to the season. In addition, we have the Red Sox offense that has come to life. 39 runs scored in their last 5 games, 4 of which have been victories. But worth noting, the markets hate Cashner, the tired retread starter without the great advanced metrics. Well, Baltimore's 5-1 in his last 6 starts. They cashed plus 125, plus 220, plus 230, plus 140, plus 160 for Cashner. He's been enormously profitable. The market's fading him again today.
Reds bounce look to bounce back on Wednesday, Teddy. Well, hey, how much bounce back do you need? Just getting 1 base hit. We'll see if it takes place today. Sonny Gray back to his old haunts versus Anderson. The Reds and the Athletics right around a pick'em right now at SBRodds.com and a total of 8.5.
Yeah, there was some movement on the over this morning. Chris Davis, who sat yesterday, looks like he's more likely to play today, and the market's reacting to that. Davis still listed as questionable, but it looks like the market's expecting him to play. And, of course, we have a couple of pitchers who the markets don't trust right now, and Sonny Gray, who's had a pretty rough start and did not have a good return to Oakland in his only previous start there since leaving. And, of course, Anderson, who's been wildly inconsistent for the A's. Some starts good, some starts very bad. The market's not particularly high on his ability to get Cincy batters out today.
Boyd flips to a favorite a little bit earlier, Teddy. And look, this is one of these pitchers that you might not really pay a lot of attention to, but solid is the word for this kid. Angels open up -11, flip to a slight dog here. Angels versus Tigers, total of 8. Skaggs and Boyd on the mound here in Detroit.
Yeah, I was surprised at this line move because Skaggs is a guy who has seen a fair bit of wise guy attention. He took a bunch of money in his last start and pitched very, very well. I was anticipating more L.A. money, and then you talk about Boyd, And again, quietly, under the radar, no hype. The results have been remarkable. 6 straight quality starts for Boyd. He ranks in the top 10 in the American League in both strikeouts, 57, and whip, allowing less than a base runner per inning. Guess what? Those are the type of stats the wise guys love. The guys that doesn't walk batters, doesn't put guys on base, gets a lot of strikeouts, throwing quality starts every time. Hence, the money for Detroit and early betting action on Wednesday.
Also, Teddy, with Boyd, when you take a look at some of his numbers, he's an equal opportunity employer out there, both home and away. Very good splits out there. Average 211 at home, 200 the batting average of opposing players on the road. Weighted on base average 254 and 247. So he's been both good at both sides of the plate. We'll see what takes place tonight. Watch what you bet, Teddy. 2 big-time games in the NBA. Thank goodness the NBA has given us something each and every night to look forward to. Whether or not you looked forward to it last night in those 2 blowouts, hopefully we get some good betting action tonight. Closing time in Milwaukee on a Wednesday. Celtics and the Bucks at -9 a little bit earlier this morning, Teddy, but we do see some buyback here down to 8.5, total of 218. Moneyline split plus 340, -440. 8 p.m. tonight, Celtics 43 and 45 against the number on the season. The Bucks 54 and 33 against the number on the season, and the Bucks might be getting a little bit healthier today, Teddy.
Yeah. Chance that Brogdon comes back for Milwaukee. I don't know that he's going to be an impact player in terms of point spread impact right from the get-go, but the Bucks look dangerous, man. They look NBA championship dangerous right about now. All that being said, history speaks volumes, and history says that Boston is the type of team that can come back from a 3-1 deficit. In fact, it's happened 11 times in NBA history, and the Celtics, one of only 2 teams to do it twice. Of course, when they did it twice was 1968 and 1981. So it's been a while for Boston. They're not coming back from 3-1 in this series. The Celtics know it. The Bucks know it. The fans know it. The betting markets know it. The question is, does the point spread come into play? We've seen a lot of teams, what's the old adage? When they're done, they're done. And we've seen a lot of teams facing the 3-1s and the 3-0s this postseason just lay down and go bye-bye. Here's a quote from Chris Middleton, which I love. We don't really worry about them at all. Who we're playing against, who they have in their roster and whatnot. All we do is worry about ourselves and our team and what we need to do. I was looking at some of the mainstream stuff going into the postseason, and somebody gave the Celtics a 2-point advantage in coaching. Brad Stevens. Budenholzer's pretty good. And it's a Bucks team that absolutely has the right mentality. And, of course, when you talk about Milwaukee's defense, well, maybe we should talk about the Celtics defense because each of the last 3 losses, the Bucks have scored 64+ in the second half against Boston. That's Budenholzer making adjustments and Stevens not being able to catch up. And, of course, with Milwaukee's offense clicking, the shooting issues for Kyrie Irving get are on center stage in every possible way. Irving off 3 miserable games. He's missed 43 shots. Is the most he's missed in a 3-game span in his playoff history. Quote, "You're being picked up full court. They're doing things to test you. The expectations on me are going to be sky high. Try to utilize their aggression against them and still put my teammates in great position while still being aggressive. I'm trying to do it all." For me, he shot 7 of 22 last game. The 22 shots, I should have shot 30. I'm that great of a shooter. Okay, Kyrie, if you're going to be that great of a shooter, you better hit shots tonight, because if Kyrie's having a rough game, another rough game, the Celtics are going bye-bye, and I'm not convinced they're going to put up a big fight.
Yeah, we'll see what takes place. Major offseason implications with a loss here for the Celtics. I think we can all agree Kyrie's probably going to be moving on if they do drop this series, but a good one out west tonight. 10:30 tonight, it's going to start up. The Warriors look to gain an advantage. Look, Warriors won the first 2 games on home court, switched over to Houston. They won 2 games. Now we'll see if that ebb and flow, the best of 3 to make it to the Western Conference Finals. That's going to be at Oracle Arena tonight in Oakland. Rockets 46-42 against the number on the season, 12-10 as a dog on the year. The Warriors 39-52 against the number on the season. How about this number, Teddy? 18-27 against the number at home. If we take a look at the numbers right now on SBRodds.com, -6s across the board. The total, Teddy, up to 220, 220.5, depending on where you're shopping at tonight.
Yeah, I mean, even in the postseason, the Warriors dominant home court. Well, they lost twice to the Clippers and blew a point spread cover against the Rockets in game 1. All that being said, in theory, this is your bounce back spot for Golden State. Not a team known for losing streaks in the regular season or in the postseason. Not a team that hasn't been able to come up with answers and adjustments after things have gone wrong. And look, all 4 of these games have been tight game. All decided by 6 or less. Hard for me to lay 6 points in a series of this nature, even with the spot saying this is Golden State. The death lineup for the Warriors. This is the lineup that's been dominant for them. I mean, really, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andre Iguodala, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green. They won 3 championships. Well, two of the 3 with Durant. But the death lineup has been, that's what Kerr doesn't like to use a lot, but he uses it when he has to. That's his choke him down lineup. It's not working. They were negative in game 4 with the death lineup on the floor. They were negative in game 3 with the death lineup on the floor. Golden State, here's Draymond Green's quote. "We didn't match their physicality until the last 4 minutes of the game. It's been that way for about the last 96 minutes of the series, so we have to correct that. I'm expecting Golden State to play physical tonight. And this is a game where how it's being called is likely to have a big impact on the result. If the refs are swallowing their whistles and letting Golden State push Houston off of their preferred spots, Warriors are going to win. The game's going to stay under. If the fouls are going to be called like they were basically in the last game in Houston, where the Rockets got their fair share and Golden State's physicality was not rewarded, well, it wasn't really on display. But if Houston's getting to the free throw line 30, 40 times tonight, that's not good news for Golden State. And it's certainly not good news for underbettors.
No, it shouldn't be there. And Teddy, I'll be having my extra energy drinks tonight, staying up for this 10:31. And again, this is the time that you could probably come in just a few moments and tell me, Donnie, why aren't you moving out to the West Coast? You can watch us at a normal time. I understand it. But we'll talk a little bit about gambling right now, Teddy. We are gamblers. We're going to take a look at maybe putting some extra value or extra money in your pocket. 4 series is out there, Teddy, in the NBA currently. Nuggets are up 3-2. Warriors are tied 3-2. The Bucks 3-1. And the Raptors up 3-2 on the 76ers. You're getting plus money returns. If you had one series in this where you could say, you know what, the Celtics at a 20-1 ticket, or, the Blazers plus 325. Of these 4 series, legitimately, who do you think has the shot to pull this off and take down the plus money, Teddy?
It's not even close for me. And I'm going to do it by a process of elimination. All right. I don't think Boston's coming back against Milwaukee. Boston's not coming back, not winning 3 games, including 2 in Milwaukee against the Bucks. So I'm throwing that out a priori. I don't look at Portland as a team that's going to go on the road and win in Game 7, and that's what you have to do after last night's loss. So it's possible the Blazers might be on the list, but not strong. Philly was supposed to show last night, and they didn't, and that worries me. And they're dogs in Game 6 at home, and that worries me. I'm not looking at the Sixers, which leaves me with, the Houston Rockets at plus 205. The Rockets win tonight, and things get real interesting. Remember, they led Golden State 3-2 last year, before Paul got hurt and the series changed. They're the shortest dogs on this list for a reason, Donnie. You ask me, I get one free bet. I'm going to take the Rockets at the plus price I think they're still live. I got some 5-1 in my pocket, but I'll still take some more 2-1, given the odds as they are right now.
Darn right. We need to see a Game 7 in that series there. Tomorrow on That Betting Show, we'll also preview another doubleheader with the Raptors and Sixers again, and the Nuggets and the Trailblazers. But that'll do it today for That Betting Show for May 8th, 2019, your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs. He's Teddy Savranci. Give him a follow at Teddy_covers on Twitter, and also Donnie Seymour at Rightside VP. We'll be back tomorrow with much more, and today we got you out in 20 minutes or less. Take care. Have a good night, folks.